This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are back now with our dear friend and world-renowned event planner at Events by Shaun Rajah. That's right. He's joining us today live from Chicago, Illinois, another city that was hit hard with the snow the past few days. And we're here to talk more about really the fact that he's been in this business for so long and helping so many people with luxurious events. And boy, oh boy, if you haven't watched or listened to any of our shows yet, let me fill you in. Well, I'm going to ask the man himself. Shaun, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got your start.
Great. Thank you for having me again. Yes, as I said, I've lived here for the last 24 years, but I was born and raised actually in Malaysia. And I started at the Hilton in Kuala Lumpur before I was transferred to, believe it or not, manage the tea room at the Drake. So the Drake is very well known for their tea service. It's been served since 1940s. So I'm a certified tea master. So I came in to run the tea room, and you might have seen this. I hosted the viewing party for Kate Middleton and Prince William, and that really put me on the Today Show, BBC. So it's fun. So that's how I started my career.
And really, I mean, the work that you've done is amazing. We've seen you on the Today Show on the BBC, and hosting a royal themed tea with Prince William's wedding. I mean, that was pretty amazing. There's a lot of those type of events, especially with all the work that you've done at these high-end, luxurious hotels in Chicago. And really, I'm just excited that you're here and back with us today and helping others, follow their dreams, right? Because you say that you always tell people to never underestimate persistence, right? Could you share a little bit about this?
Yeah, so I have to admit, I'm not much of a writer, but someday I definitely want to pencil down my journey living here and doing what I do, because I think it will benefit someone else. I always believe there will always be obstacles, but if you keep showing up, staying creative, and pushing the boundaries, you will learn that you will get through and you'll achieve your dreams. You probably know this Maya Angelou quote: people never forget how you made them feel. So it's important on how you show up, treat people. And I think that's the energy that I've always brought at any venue or anything that I do, that I know will create a lasting impact. As I've said, most of my clients, believe it or not, are repeats. So not that they get married the second time, meaning if their sister gets married with me the first time, the brother's going to get married with me, which is great. So I keep it within the family. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And you always, people, as you say, will never forget how you made them feel, how you show up, how you treat people, that energy. And that's why people keep coming back. And I love that we're keeping it in the family. Let me ask you a little bit about, you talked about that you're not much of a writer. Come on, your handwriting's more like a doctor's, but let's talk about this because you are dreaming and you're going to be writing a book. Come on, right?
Yeah, funny enough, many people assume Malaysia. I always tell people, they go like, "Wait a minute, you're from Malaysia?" I'm like, "Yeah, we don't live on trees." But it could be as simple as, I think of the Jungle Book, The Jungle Boy. But
Yes, yes, love it.
if I could have the story inspired me sitting in the jungle, but behind there is a beautiful that the Malaysia has the world's tallest twin towers, the Petronas Twin Towers, and I think that would be like my cover of my book. But then, of course, yes, I would love to write a book someday, just so that I can share my journey. I think it's pretty interesting, that the things that I had to go through, the obstacles, but I'm here now. And also, never in a million years I would have thought that I would have actually met my idol, Whitney Houston, coming all the way to Chicago, and voila. Yeah. So yes. And I know the goal of this book is actually to inspire others to say, hey, you can do this. With all that's going around the world today, I think this would be actually a motivational book, more like it.
Amazing. Well, let's get started for today, planning the foundation. And what's the first thing a couple should do when they get engaged?
So I think it's so important. I always say, take a deep breath and celebrate. Engagements are exciting. And most of the case, I think 90%, it's always a surprise. So take it easy, sit on it for a minute. Culturally, some some cultures like to get on it immediately, especially South Asian weddings, because they have to look for a designated date. So it's important because these days venues get chose or venues get selected
Wow. Mm-hmm.
quite far in advance. So I think it's very important to enjoy the moment. Go on a little mini vacation. Take a weekend off. Enjoy this because this is monumental. Then, of course, it comes to reality. Discuss a general budget and priorities. Know exactly what you want, whether it's going to be a destination, whether it's going to be home based, whether it's going to be in a hotel where everything is taken
Yep.
care of, whether it's going to be in a venue, an open venue space, because all these brings up the cost, brings it down. So it's important. And of course, time of the year, you need to know the size of your wedding, the style, indoors, outdoors, and you need to learn how to cut a guest list.
Ooh.
If it's the third cousin, guess what? You saw them the last when you were 7 years old. Yes, she's not coming, you know?
Yes.
And there needs to be a way. I always tell this to my clients. There's always an aunt or an uncle who's probably going to come into the wedding and say the wrong thing. With that said, he goes on B list. Once I send out my A
Absolutely.
list, I send out my A list and I get all my RSVPs in, which is what I like to recommend to my clients.
Yeah.
Send a save the date. Many people do a save the date by just telling people, oh, this is my date. But no, I like to actually send the save the date and also get the RSVP in, because if someone's going on vacation, they are going to plan their lives ahead. So if they're
Yep.
not coming, great. But I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
have it filled up because I have guest list B.
Yep.
And guest list B is typically you want to invite them, but they're not so a priority or of a courtesy to your parents. You have to add them to the list. And hopefully you send it to a point, you send it late enough. They're like, oh, we can't make it. And you're probably like, yes, thank you so much for letting us know.
Absolutely. Ah, I love it. I never thought about that though. Save the date, and you should get the RSVP then as well. You're right. Why waste that? A whole year can go by and you don't really know who's coming or not. All right, this is exciting. All right, so you got to decide, also why to even hire, the wedding planner, right? Let's be honest. There's a lot to this, and it really is amazing what you do. So explain why we need you.
So, of course, we say that it saves stress, money, and time, but in reality, it does. It's a fact. Some people still look at a wedding planner as, wait, is it a real job? Absolutely.
Yes.
Especially when you're a busy person, it eliminates stress. Okay, we take you to the finish line. So, being in the business for all these years, it helps. I could tell which venue is going to cost more, the price per person, what is included, what's not. I'm not going to go to a venue and say, hey, I need this price to be this. No, I just know already exactly what's it going to cost me versus having a wedding in a venue. It's an open space, you know? So, but hiring a wedding planner at this point is crucial. It keeps everything on schedule and on budget. Um, then, of course, because of the long lasting relationships I've had with these vendors all these years, I would just text, call, email them and say, hey, can you put a hold on this date? Because
Yeah.
I have a certain group of people that I love to work. It's not that I'm old and I don't like to reinvent the wheel. It's more so that I it's not an event where I could say like a gala or fundraiser. I could say, let's try this florist today because next year I can use someone else.
Yeah.
This is a one-time affair that I have to make it right. So yes, hiring a planner keeps everything on schedule and on budget. Access to vetted vendors, venue, florists, caterers, provides creative vision. So like I talk to you, I come up with the design and the theme. Let's say, for example, I'm having a wedding in the library on LaSalle in May,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we're doing a speakeasy themed. But there's so many different surprises. There's a there's um, there are two actors that we have hired to wait in the elevator to greet guests with champagne. That because their escort card is inspired by a bookshelf. We've hired a librarian to pretend that he's a librarian, that he'll present the book and all these different things. So we help you provide the vision and create the whole concept. Of course, there's always a conflict. I mean, there are weddings that you can just go right through, but in reality, there will be a conflict every now and then. And it's not about disagreement. My personal motto is I don't get involved in family feud. You guys can figure it out. I will just at those times I just would like to be the fly on the wall. But whatever happens, happens. And of course, we're there for any last minute emergencies so the couple can enjoy the day. It is so important to me that as soon as you're done with the ceremony, you're going to sit down and eat. I'm going to get your dress bustled. And you have to take 10 minutes with your partner, husband, wife to sit down and enjoy the moment because many cases you don't really eat or you're always looked at. So I think it's important. I will make sure you sit down right after the ceremony. You're going to sit down and eat, have a nice espresso martini. It gives you like a pickup, and voila, you're going to join the cocktail hour, which is important.
Got it. Oh my goodness. And, choosing the key vendors is always so important. You mentioned, so you got to book the venues first when you hire the planner, right? That's the next step. Then what comes after that?
So the venue is definitely first, and I typically get involved with that process where, we shortlist some venues, we send that comparison. Um, I usually like to do a comparison with two venues because you don't really have to get to the nitty gritty because sometimes I think it gets a little too overwhelming for clients. I do this for a living, so absolutely I have this database. However, you can tell from the client's perspective whether they're looking for a traditional venue or a modern venue. Then I like to do a comparison of two. It gives them good value, showcases what each venue is offering.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once the venue has been taken care of, the
Yeah.
next two vendors, which are most important, is video, photo, and music.
Ooh.
Why? Because
Mm-hmm.
these vendors can only do one gig at a time. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
hire a photographer, let's say I'm using Amanda Miller or Christina G, both based in Chicago. So when you hire them, right, they can't do another wedding of that day. Once they're booked, they're booked. So they're dedicated vendors. Same goes for bands, whether you use Becca Kaufman Orchestra or Sway Chicago or Ken Arlen's bands. Um, they only can do one gig. And these are the
Got
most
it.
important vendors. And then
Ooh,
you can take a
yeah.
breather. You can relax a little.
All right. I like this breakdown because some people don't know the process of all this, but I do know everybody needs a wedding planner. One day when I get married, I'm hiring you, Shaun. Seriously, my goodness.
Uh,
What are some things that the couples so often overlook when booking the venue, though? Anything there?
so they kind of fall in love with the place without realizing that, wait a minute, um, there isn't parking here, so we have to hire a valet
Uh-huh.
attendant, which is normal. Also when you have a wedding, like a wedding in a venue, which like a union hotel, there are more restrictions versus a non-union hotel. For example, hotels in the city of Chicago, when you're doing drapery or when you're adding a dance floor wrap, when you work with union hotels, you cannot bring an outside vendor to do these tasks. You have to use the vendor on site. And all this builds up costs. So it's important to know. Then also, when you look at a venue, right? Of course, if you have a venue in a hotel, I mean, the hotel is the venue. It's easy. You have accommodations. But at the same time, you want to be able to have hotels close by so that you're giving your guests a couple of different options, not
Yeah.
just, hey, you're just staying at this price point. People have different budgets. They want to be able to attend the wedding, but stay where they would prefer to stay. So as a client, you need to be able to provide these to your guests. Then believe it or not, lighting and power, people do venues, it's normal. Venues do have to charge for power, whether like coffee stations, for example, coffee urns, they take a lot of power. When you talk about bands, oh yes, it's normal. Some people like are really surprised by this, but it's absolutely normal to be charged for power because that's how the hotel survives. Lighting. Lighting is not included in the venue. The basic lights, which are the beautiful chandeliers right in the ceiling, those are there. You can dim it, but you need lighting like pin spot, up lighting. So, so these are some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
people tend to overlook at times, which is why having a planner, it's more so that we talk about this right from
Yeah.
the start. So there's a set expectation versus stepping in later and like, oh, no one told me about it, you know?
Well, then, I mean, there's so much going on because then you got to choose the florist, you got to choose, oh, the colors, the wedding theme. Oh my gosh, the budgeting. Go ahead, continue, continue. What else is going on here? This is a lot of stuff.
So I think so that's a good thing. So when it comes to the florist, so what's unique with me is I give them a tentative budget, but some clients, I remember I did this wedding recently, and the mom asked me after the wedding, why didn't we discuss a budget prior? Because I said when you were looking at these venues, I could already set and I know exactly what your expectations were and your price point. I could tell it was going to be a high-end wedding. But I said initially I just sent like a draft just so that range because floral. And then you could have someone spend $250,000 for floral and more.
Mm-hmm.
So it just varies, from one end to the other. We all have a budget, so it's important. So, firstly, it's good to start with a mood board or an inspiration board. That's my key. And
Got it.
also, don't drive yourself nuts and book a wedding and just get to the floral immediately. Take a breather because you're probably going to attend weddings this summer. Go and check it out. See what you like because you want to keep yourself aligned with your color tone because in many cases, you may start with lavender, green, purples, lilacs, and then after attending a few weddings in the summer, say, hey, I think I'm going to go with an all
Yeah.
variety of greens. So it's normal. We get it. But just keep in mind, now the florist who's already worked on your design and proposal now has to go back and redo that proposal. So it's
Oh,
respecting their time as well, you know? And of course, when you think about seasonal flowers, let's say the bride wants to walk in with a beautiful bouquet of peonies, but it's not in season. Could we
yeah.
get it? Possibly. Of course, you have
Yeah.
to pay for the extra price. Um, and I'm more of like less is better, meaning I want to be able to see the person across the table. Low and lush is beautiful, or clear, slender vases, so that I can see the person across the table, have a conversation. I love a mix of round, square, even serpentine tables. I think that's unique. I love the different textures, layers, and I think these days people are focusing a lot more on those little details. Napkins, the napkin fold, ham stitched napkins, all the different textures that come together when you put a table.
Well, I mean, the work that you're doing is incredible. If you are just tuning in, we got to remind everyone that we're here with Shaun Rajah, our event planner, events by Shaun, and based out of Chicago, Illinois, but really internationally known for some of the most highest, luxurious weddings worldwide. I love having you here, getting to chat with you. And let's continue the conversation again for today. We have a lot to get to in our podcast. And what did you have in store for us next, Shaun?
Let's talk about how do we come up with a wedding theme or concept. You know,
Yes.
um, it could be as simple as let's do a green and white theme. You can never
Okay.
go wrong, okay? But then you want to add the couple's personal style and story. Like I always say, for example, I always ask you, where did you go for your first vacation? Let's say you went to Lyon, Paris. France. Great. Okay, let's take that as an idea, but let's discuss, let's talk a little bit more. For example, I did a pre-welcome reception, which was inspired by Paris because that's where the couple had their first vacation together. So it seems relevant. People know. People, you're not just walking into a cocktail party. So we want to connect a story. Or let's say the groom sent the bride a DM on Instagram, but she wasn't following him, so she really didn't see the message until 3 months later. But he saved that DM, so I took it and I put it on a cocktail napkin for the because it's a conversation starter. Because people always are coming in, they want to know more, and in that time frame where they're coming to the wedding, yes, they're going to have a blast, but these things kind of like personalize the whole event. And of course, I do think venues like Pinterest, Instagram, are great resources, but it's also going to drive us as a planner nuts because you're constantly looking at things and you probably might say, oh my God, I love this, or I do not. I like this now. So it will come to a point whereby I'm like, okay, it's a year down the road. Let's figure this out. And let's give you another month for you to come up with your final color palette because we can't change this consistently because I need to work with the florist. I need to put things, I need to book things. So it's
Yeah.
important when you decide on color palette, mood, you think of seasonality, like darker colors like plum, burgundies, bronze, gold. Those work really nice in the month of October, November, December. And then the lighter pastel colors are perfect for seasonality, like seasons like spring, summer. So, and as I said, I think it's important to use boards, inspiration boards like Pinterest and Instagram, but you can copy it, but just make it personal. Like I don't like to repeat something. I use it
Mm-hmm.
as an inspiration because people always come and say, hey, this wedding that you do, we loved it. Okay. I said, let's take a
Yeah.
few things from there, but let's not, because I don't want to repeat my stuff. I like to have something unique each time, you know?
You there? You froze?
I did. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
there
here.
you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, let's continue. I mean, really, this is fantastic. And, the concept or theme, I mean, I'm sure you're good at talking to people, getting to know their background, and you kind of use their inspiration as well as yours, and you put stuff together. It's amazing that this all comes through fruition. And you mentioned, like, there could be lanterns, floral chandeliers, custom linens, all these different design elements. It's by you getting to know the couple's personality and their personal, story, right?
Absolutely. And I think many cases people um like they book a hotel because it's a one-shop call. You get your linens, your stemware, flatware, glassware. Yes, it is, but is it to your liking? Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
is it, yes, it's convenient. You have stemware, flatware, glassware because equipment is expensive. But then you need to set your priorities and you need to understand, wait a minute, is this exactly what I want? Because like certain hotels, for example, the Peninsula does really beautiful, they have beautiful linens. Two options are chairs. They're, well appointed ballroom. The food is amazing. The service is impeccable. Yes, it hits all the spots. So that's great, you know. But moving on, let's talk about, what are common things that people forget but are important. So in that process, you always want to think about transportation logistics. That is a very key essential. Why? If you're if you're not having a wedding at a hotel, technically it is customary that you have to provide transportation. It is the right thing to do, especially in seasons like winter. Yeah, that is a no. You have to. There's no way around it. So basically, the shuttles will pick up your guests and bring them to these venues, and then they'll also shuttle them back later. So transportation is one cost that many people tend to forget, but it's key. Uh, Vendor gratuities and tips. It's a very odd topic to have, partly because I wasn't raised here and we, back in Asia, we don't really work on gratuity. Is it appreciated? Yeah. So I do it. I want to make sure that my team, or as in my team, as in the vendors, the bands, the musicians, they're all taken care of. So I have a beautiful list that I generate and I'll just tell the clients 1 month before, hey guys, as we get closer to the date, here are some vendors who I think if you think it's not necessary,
Yep.
but however, if you think they have gone above and beyond, it is important for you to go ahead and show your appreciation by providing a gratuity. Then I provide them also like a table. This is recommended, this is generous, and this is minimum. So some people are really, they're like, thank you so much. We were just wondering. So it's a great guideline, but I don't harp on it, meaning I'll just tell you once and then you're on your own because I don't want to just keep harping on it like you have to tip someone. No, in reality, venues, hotels always include the gratuity already. So, and as I said, it's a very common trend here in the US. So, yes, I just do the job as in to guide them on what is right. Um, Timeline, another thing that I think people tend to forget is the setup. Like the timeline required. Like if you have all these flowers that you're going to set up, it's just not going to happen miraculously just like in an hour. It takes a good 6 to 8 hours the least to get something set up. So having someone experienced on site,
Yeah.
as simple as a dance floor wrap, like for example, I'll give you one logic example.
Yeah.
When you have a ceremony on site and you have a cocktail hour right after, we have an hour to turn the room. But if
Oh
they're
my
going
gosh.
to actually
Yeah.
cover the dance floor,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have time in between to wrap the dance floor,
Yep.
which means you need to drop the dance floor first,
Yep,
cover
I'm
it up,
sure.
drape it off
Ah,
so that when guests come in for the ceremony, they know that they're attending. They don't know they're sitting on the dance floor, but in reality, that's what it is. So there's lots of things around which is hidden that you kind of like need to have a planner to know that.
oh my goodness. There's so much that goes into this. What else? We still got more time. Go for it. Go for it.
And of course, I think, I hired this lady and her name is Caroline Shaw. I think I mentioned her before. She reminds me of Mary Poppins because she is English as well. So she is what we call a wedding dresser. So someone that comes in, steams your dresses, ties your shoelace, irons those shirts, so she's someone that I always like to bring in as a vendor because she
Mm-hmm.
makes the day stress free.
Okay.
So if she's one vendor that I highly recommend brides to have, whether it's in Chicago, anywhere in around the world, you need to get a wedding dresser because there are lots of things that may happen. Your groom may step your wedding dress and the veil is torn. What are you going to do about it? That's why you have her. She's going to stitch. There's one thing I don't do well. I can't stitch. And I have a sewing kit in my emergency bag, but one of my assistants are probably going to do it because, yeah, no. That's one thing I do bad is, yeah, you don't want to trust me with stitching. Yes.
No, no, I get it. Stop. Still, come on. You're awesome, Shaun. I trust you. I trust you with anything. Like you got everything together. You're always so organized. There's so much to talk about. I want to hear some of the fun stories. I don't know what else we're going to get to because
So
unfortunately we got to go.
yeah. Well, I think time's up, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm so sorry. But what I'm doing secretly, which you don't know, I'm waiting like for my next guest to come in. And I'm like, okay, if they're late, then I could stay on longer with you. So hold on. I'm not kidding. Go for it. Take a few more minutes. Go, 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 go.
Well, I'll be back, I think, with you next week, the 2nd. I'll be back on the 2nd as well as on the 9th. But I did want to share with you because I couldn't tell you last weekend. So last week we hosted a wedding and beautiful couple. He was in Chicago. Her name is Ayana and the husband's name was Alex. So Ayana and Alex Lewis, she was formerly contested as on Love is Blind.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and beautiful couple. She was one of my sweetest, and I know I'll always keep in touch with her. And the wedding was featured in People magazine early this week, which is why I couldn't talk about it. Yes, so it was the wedding took place in 2 days. She
Yeah.
did it differently because she wanted to relax and enjoy the moment. So she broke it down for the night before it was the Union League Club, and the next day was Salon 61. But you could feel the love in that room, and he was such a nice man. And talking to and people get stressed at times, and they may change their demeanor, but no, not this. These two were just like a dream client. Let's put it. It's we don't get these always, but yeah, and the pictures are up on my personal page and my Instagram page. So, but yes, they were wonderful to work with, and I was very honored to have my feature in People magazine.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Thank you so much. Congrats on this. And I guess we should tell people how we can contact you.
Yes, you can check me out on my website, www.shaunrajah.com, and that's spelled ShaunRajah.com. And my Instagram is events by Shaun Rajah. And as I said, I'll be back next Monday, February 2nd, at the same time, as well as my last segment for now would be on February 9th. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. You have a fantastic day and always exciting. So February
Okay,
2nd, we'll be back. See you then and talk soon, sweetie. Thank you. Bye, Shaun.
stay warm. Bye bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network. where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.